infantry healing just went from useless to meta. For the longest time, PvP healing felt like a support only mechanic. But with Kuma's arrival, infantry finally get access to real healing. Let me break down why this changed everything. And I'm going to start with HP scaling and healing synergy. Kuma abilities scale with HP and provides healing us every 10 seconds. Now, I already have Kuma, not gonna lie, but it's still not very well developed. It's level 2. Most likely I'm going to make him right now is in my daily bundle, so I'm going to make this first spell level 5 because it's doing the draining. Now I'm not going to make a Kuma beginner guide or something like this. I have a video on my channel about my first impression over the Kuma, and obviously there is a lot of YouTube videos where you can actually check out this, but I'm going to point the most important things very shortly over this hero and how in overall the infantry changed that much. This is the first skill where, you know, I don't know if you can actually see it. Maybe this is a better way to do it. When you click detail, it is can go up to 150% HP. Now this is not exactly healing, you know, the green numbers you see on the battlefield, but is boosting the HP of this legion, making survivability of the Kuma extremely strong, and is making a pull around him from very weak legions around him, which is extremely nice. Now obviously we have a heroes that was reducing the HP, like I can say Mogro. Mogro was a hero that everybody was excited because HP reduction, everybody was looking about this HP reduction, and is for dealing physical damage every second to the target and 2 surrounding legions. So it's catching like 3 legions, but at the same time this don't benefit Mogro by anything. On top of that, he's obviously doing also skill damage factor, but Kuma is receiving this HP. This is the big chance. Now lately I have some fights with Echo. I really don't know where this video is going to go. Online, but we have some fights with Echo. I'm going to maybe try to pull out some reports from there. Yeah, this is basically my Gorish with Kuma. It's not looking good, obviously. 61k severely wounded, but I want to point something that the survivability of my legions and how much time this legion was sitting on the battlefield was with maybe 40 up to 50% more. Why this is actually important? Well, the reason behind is just because if your infantry are sitting more on the battlefield, that means your mages have more time protection from this infantry. On top of that, this is not actually the main power of Kuma, is basically draining this HP, which make enemy legions way more easy. Now, when some of the enemy legions teleport around, you know, the blink thing, blink teleport, I start running. Now, back in the days, I didn't actually care that much. Okay, well, I'm going to get some splash damage. Most likely it's going to be gore or something like this. But right now, I don't do that. I run away from this infantry, at least to make some distance between me and this infantry. Because if they drain my HP, that means when I hit and I receive 1k damage, let's say it like this, it's going to be more damage dealing to my troops from if it was some Gorish and Skogul there, just because my legion is going to have drained HP, and that means they have less HP and more troops is going to go in hospital. But that's not all with Kuma and how the things are changing. Now, I can actually talk about, I think I mentioned that, about the synergy, HP synergy between Lee Quan and Kuma, and the new pet that is giving 70-80% more HP. But Kuma is also giving some healing over time. If I find this bad boy, where is, my god, I definitely need to level up him. I think I have some books. Okay, I can actually upgrade him up to level 58. Yeah, I'm going to upgrade it. The rest is going to come from PvP, more experience from there. But The Legion heals once every 10 seconds in the battle. Basically, healing factor can be 50 and receive extra healing according to its current HP bonus. Basic healing factor 50 can go up to 100. So you see the synergy. First of all, he's getting like 2.5 times more HP, and at the same time this scales with the healing he's receiving. In same time it scales with the new hero. Now the new hero is squishy, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Lee Quan is squishy, not that survivability ready, but it's used in the rallies a lot. It's very nice. AoE damage dealer up to 1.7k damage, and everything again scales with the HP bonuses. So I think this maybe is going to be the second extremely hard to be killed Legion in Call of Dragons. The first one was obviously Goresh Kogo, even though that the combo by itself was focused over the counterattack, diffused counterattack from the Skogo. I think it was, yeah, the diffused counterattack damage. You have Goresh, but Goresh, something about this hero and why the majority of the people actually focus more over the Goresh was this attack resistance. Or basically resistance, damage taken minus 15%. If it's awakened, it is actually 20%. And with the Spiritborn Torque, this Legion become extremely tanky and extremely counterattack doing. But with the Kuma, you may not do the crazy damage like you're going to do with Goresh and Skogo, but you're going to make enemy legions so weak, and your legion is going to have like 2.5 times more HP, which I think is a game changer in Call of Dragons. And here is the thing about the draining mechanic. It's sustained. He drain enemy HP and turn it to a self-healing. Now, I'm not quite sure that the right word is self-healing, because the healing is scale up based on the HP for the Kuma, but in same time it's not direct green healing, but it's making the troops with crazy HP. And from there actually skill the rest of the mechanics of the combo between Lee Quan and Kuma. And I think this is the perfect for draw out fights when you want to drain the enemies. You can just send basically Kuma. Right now I'm sending Goresh with Kuma. Goresh is giving some tankiness. It's also having the tank talent tree, if I remember right. EA is having the tank talent tree. With the Kuma and the HP scales is just the survivability of this combo. It become extremely big, and I'm draining the enemy HP, which in long fights that is not some fight that's for like maybe half hour, 1 hour, 2 hour, but in the long fights, in the marathon, I think Kuma is going to be a key hero for deciding which side is going to win. Obviously, if you're fighting against Alliance that is 2 times more bigger from you, Kuma cannot do much there. But if you're close on power, the more times people are using Kuma or having Kuma, or the Kuma is well developed, is going to greatly support the outcome of the fights and draining the enemy. Because at one point, you're going to start using resource healing, okay? At one point, the elixirs is going to be done and you're going to start using resources. Now, obviously, between the big alliances, at one point it's become resource fighting, okay? Basically, who is going to spend more resources? And with Kuma, you can make the enemy way more faster, start touching their resources, and from there you can actually achieve victory there. That's why I think infantry is something that is game changing, especially the new combo. And that's not all. It triggers binary legions. His healing procs more when fighting in cluster, which is common in open field. Obviously, this hero is not only good for rally. So far I was speaking about the open field, but the majority of the time you're going to use the new infantry in open field, but still they're extremely good in the rally. Obviously, the HP that they're going to drain is going to be from the target, which is completely fine because they're draining 50% the Legion HP. The Legion can get HP bonus up to 50% by draining the target legion. And you know the target legion is who is in the garrison and on their side who is rally leader. So you can get like 50% bonuses, but if there's somebody around this place and somehow get hit, it may actually increase these bonuses. But it's like if you have Kuma as a garrison and you have Kuma in the rally, they're basically going to exchange they're basically going to exchange these HP bonuses and they're going to drain themselves. But in open field, it's crazy. It's crazy. And Kuma, I think, is going to be the number one hero people are going to use when they do a blink strategy. You know, when the infantry blink and they block. Because this bad boy is extremely hard to get killed the moment he trigger his rage skill. He's going to drain so much HP that is even as a mage, if you try to escape, because when you get blocked, you try to kill the troop that is blocking your way to escape, and you escape. You don't sit there and wait the enemy archers and marksmen and mages kill you. So yeah, it's going to be extremely hard this guy to be taken out the moment he do a blink, because he's going to receive full healing, because basically he's jumping at the middle of the mages. And yeah, it's going to be extremely hard. On top of that, he's going to do some damage and etc. Counter attack for the melee is 100% in the melee range. So there is just so much benefits just by single thing like this HP scaling, the healing synergy, and in general for the infantry getting hand over the healing. Now we was having Garwood. Obviously some people are going to say, hey, what about the Garwood? Garwood is doing some healing and etc. That's correct, and I think Garwood, there is a reason people was using him for the merit trait. It's 1.2k healing factor, but this hero don't benefit from nothing. You're going to get this healing factor. Basically, you're going to, you know, get some healing, but you're not benefiting from this. Your own legion is just going to get a little more healing, not like Kuma. And I can say maybe Garwood in combination with Mogro is something what makes Kuma. It's like these two heroes together. But you know, from point of healing, obviously Kuma is not going to heal like Garwood. And on top of that, he's better from these two heroes altogether, just because he's also boosting the HP of the infantry. And we know infantry is having the biggest HP in Call of Dragons. They have the armor, they have everything. Obviously mages are having better armor, magic defense, but still physical defense, absolutely crazy. And look at the HP, it's way bigger. I don't know if I go and check it out, the Vestos, and see their HP is 167 167 233. So the scaling of the HP for the infantry is crazy. It's just crazy. Now obviously this is not all. Kuma can be paired with the pets. Right now the pet that Kuma is paired is obviously going to be the new one, and this new one is exactly for him. You can make some changes and try to use Moonbear in situation like this, but the healing or the HP scaling is going to be with Mosrok Aroch. Is the pet that is going to do the work. Obviously the new heroes with the new pets, the majority of the time is the best pick you can actually do. From point of artifacts, now there is a new artifact presented, you know, with the new combo. The majority of the time this new artifact is also for the specific heroes. Infantry, unit attack, and legion defense. At least they don't put some HP here, because it was going to be crazy, you know. For the next 15 seconds, the legion gets 20% HP and deals diffused physical damage up to 3 nearly legions. 15 seconds. This is enough for the Kuma to trigger his spell and drain the enemy. Now something that I want to mention also for the infantry is they have the most fast artifact trigger. Is 400. If you check, for example, cavalry is 600. For the marksmen is 1.2 rage cost. And for the mages, if I find some mages, okay, I have all the artifacts for the mages, but for the mages it's like 1.6k. So this is going to greatly support this legion. Fast artifact triggering, great pet with HP. This artifact is giving even more HP, it's like 20%. So you see all the stacks there, all the stacks from point of getting more and more HP. Obviously the damage factor, nobody cared that much over the damage factor. Target get slow march speed minus 15% for 5 seconds. Additional effects: when joining an HP buff via hero skill, the Legion get 1% attack and defense for 10 seconds, max 5 stacks. This is also scaled perfectly with what we are having right now in Call of Dragons. So I really wanted to make this video just to say how the things are changing from point of scaling with the HP and for the infantry, because I really think those type of buffs, getting more HP, getting more defense, should be for infantry. They should be for infantry because they are the tanks, and the game is shifting so much in infantry direction right now. Is just, and they boost the infantry more and more and more and more, which makes the things absolutely crazy. So no longer is mage, no longer is marksman. At one point the cavalry was the meta. Right now I think these heroes is just changing everything in Call of Dragons. It's rare that the heroes is changing something, but I think these two heroes is actually changing the way the fights in Call of Dragons is going to be done. So yeah, I just wanted to share my opinion over healing in PvP, and finally every troop is getting healing. I think this is great for infantry mains, because you know, to be infantry main, that means no merits and full hospital. I think finally they can. I think every alliance should treat their infantry mains with huge respect. So yeah, I guess it's all for this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe. See you in the next video.